Recently, I have cleared the Cognizant round 1 interview. Actually, there are total 3 rounds. So I have cleared the round 1, round 2 and the round 3 and finally got the offer as well. So in this video, I will specifically discussing about exact 21 questions that was asked to me in my round 1 interview. So this video is specifically for the experienced Java developer having the experience around 2 to 10 years of working experience. Round 1 interview actually goes for me to like 60 minutes to 1.5 hours. So I will not only like share the solution, I also in every questions I will try to give you the live code so you can directly speak the exact solution, or you can take this reference and you can answer to your interviewer. So let's get started with the video. So before going ahead with the video, you can get all this solution in the GitHub repo linked in the description, and also I will suggest you to go through this playlist called Java interview or crackers company wise. So here where I have covered like lot of companies interview questions. Let's get started with the video. So first questions, they will definitely ask about your roles and responsibilities. That is the standard questions that every interviewer asks to the candidates. But as per as we are expecting, we are the experienced developer, so we should give the answers on that way. So on your answers, you can cover your current roles or the designation you are working. You can mention your company's name, you can mention the tech stack as well, and try to highlight the your own collaboration to your team. What are the major contribution you have done which impacted your team, or reduce the latency by this time. You have done the migration, migrate to microservices. You have implemented CI/CD pipeline. Maybe you have implemented Jenkins. So those kind of even if you are not done, if some of your teammates have done, so you know this and you can take this reference, because in the interviewer like they want to know like what you have done in the projects. So let's move to the next questions. So if you want ready to speak script, so that you can directly tell to your interviewer, you can comment down script one, so I will share the document directly to you. So let's move with the next questions. The equals and dot equals methods, what is the difference between them? So yeah, it looks like pretty much simple, but there is one catch is there. So it is not that much simple what you thinks. Yeah, we know this double equals, it actually refer the memory addresses, and dot equals it compare the contents. If both are same, then it will be giving true. But give you let me give you one sample example, because they will give some sample example. So this is the basic sample example that every developer do, but I will not talk about this. I will okay, let me talk about this, then I will come back to the next phase. So we know s1 is equal to hello, then s2 equal to hello, both will point to the same location, as it is storing in the same string pool. And here if we use new string hello, and here it is what it is doing, it is s3 storing on the object. So if we do s1 and s2, because of the same pool reference, it is true, and s1 and s3 is false, because it is pointing to the different locations. And if we do s1 equals to s3, it is true because it is comparing the content. Now let's move to the next phase that I was talking about. If we have integer 100 and integer b also 100, then it is true. But if you have integer c and d, both are like 200, then that is false, and dot equals is giving true. So that is the catch I am talking. If this kind of example they give, then we will definitely confuse, and I'm pretty much sure about that, because we usually ignore this kind of things. Because if we see the integer case, it range between 128 to 127, that's the reason. And here 200 is the out of the range, so that's why it's giving here is the false. So let's move to the next questions. Next question is like they will ask about JUnit and Mockito annotations. They will not ask you the definition, they will ask you how you are using the JUnit and Mockito in your current projects. So better to take the example of your current projects and try to relate with each annotation that you are using. So maybe in your project you are using some annotation, right? Even if you are not using, if your teammates are using and you know that, and so you can take that example. So you can tell like you are using some test annotations which marks a class as a test case. So we are using on the top of a method, and the before each, after each, so runs when every test method is run, it is the method dependent, and before all and after all it runs like before all the test cases, so it will be running only once. So and if you use parameterized test and disable, when you use disable annotation, it will skip that particular test even if you are using this test. So and in the on the contract of like Mockito annotations, we can discuss like mock, inject mock, and the spy, capture. You are using this, right? So you can tell like mock, it create an mock object, and inject mock, whatever the created mock object is there, it will be injected to that into that class under the test. So here also live code is there, and you can go through this and explain to your interviewer. So if you are still watching the video, I request to please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you has any suggestion like which company's interview I want to cover in the next, you can mention that company name as well. So and if you see for every questions, if you go to the source folder, I have the Java code as well. So you can directly run this code, or you can check the, okay, running the code, it is not you will not learn that much, but you can go through this code to get like better understanding. So it will be easier for you to explain to your interviewer. Let's move to the next questions. The next question is on Spring AOP. So Spring AOP, they will ask like what is this AOP. AOP lets you like separate cross-cutting concerns, so like logging, security, transaction, auditing from your business logic. So we are writing the service that is different, and so separating the logging securities to other services, it's called the AOP. So without modifying the actual method, so basically what we do, we will the security mechanism will be writing another services, logging mechanism will be writing another services. So like without AOP, like what we do, we write the logging code to every methods, but when with AOP, so we write it once and it runs automatically. So try to go through this code terminology aspect, advice, point card, join point, so those kind of things, and the annotation also before, after returning, after throwing. And as I was saying that every questions you will be having this sample code. You can check this question number and go through the sample code as well for the better understanding. And in every question in the end there is some follow-up question is there, you can go through that or that also. Let's move to the next questions. Next question is on the Spring security. They will ask like how to implement the security in the Spring Boot. Yeah, so in most of the companies we are working, so we'll be having our own security configurations, right? But you need to explain, you need to have the basic understanding how this Spring security implemented in the Spring Boot, so that you can relate that to your current projects. So instead of what security concerns you are using. So basically there are common two approaches there. One is like auth basis, and second is the JWT. Means first case we have this username and password for every request header, and second case we have token based authentications as well. So you can explain like JWT flow, how it works. Like when you log in, for example, we have any logging API with a username and password, then we hit this API, then server validate this credentials, whatever the username password we have put, then they generate JWT tokens, then they return us that token to the client. Means us, we have the some tokens, right? We had the token, now we want to access this API, any API, so we need to pass that token as well. So we need to pass that token in the authorization header. Next, the filtering logic will be executed. From the filtering, we will validate the tokens, whether the token we have generated it's got expired or not, whether we are the right user for that token or not. Then using this security concept, and then reach to the controller, and we from the controller we get the result. Here is the a small code that is there. You can take the example like we are using enable web security annotations. So first what we will do from this API. So whatever the API is there under request match permit all, so it is public endpoint, and other than that authenticated. Any other request is the authenticated. In the JWT filter, like we had this token as we are talking about, right? The token we had, so token will be extracted from this header authorizations, then which start with PRR, and we had the token. From the token we will extract the username, and from that username we will be getting the context, and with doing the filter chain we will get the response. So like that you can explain it to your interviewer. You can go with different like header, payload, signature, base 64 encoded. So yeah, let's move to the next questions. Next question is exception handling in the Spring Boot. So yeah, this interview is very long interview. Usually they should take within 1 hours, but for my case it took around 1.5 hours. So this exception handling in the Spring Boot is one of the most crucial topic, and everyone of us we are handling the exceptions, but they want to understand about this centralized exception handling. Basically we are using the try case, but that is not like we can say like correct in the production base. So in the production code we will be using controller advice to handle the exception globally, and we have this exception handler in the controller. So let me show you one small code for the better understanding. So we'll be creating this user not found exception which extend runtime. That is the simple, that is fine. Then for the centralized response, we have the custom response, we have this error response classes we have created. Now here is the main thing is that global exception handler. So we first need to annotate with controller advice annotations, and for the every methods we need to use exception handler annotation. You see exception handler, and which exception it is handling within this we need to pass that particular class name. So you can go through this, and from the service we are calling we are throwing the exception. You can go through the key point as well. And let's move to the next questions. Annotations for writing any API. They will ask you like what are the annotations you are using for writing any API. So they basically want to know what is the use case of REST controller, request mapping, auto add, get mapping, and if it is an like post mapping, then request body, if it is an put and path variable, and then delete mapping also path variable, request parameters. So go through the each annotation use case, so try to explain them with your current project. You maybe have some, even if you not involved much on that creating the new API, you just involved on modifying or some fixes part. Then even if you have some understanding of any major flow, you can take that reference and you can tell you have implemented that API. So then they will be more happy with your explanation. Next question is that qualifier, dependency injection, and the bin. So they will ask you like use case of the qualifier annotations and the dependency injection and the bins, what are those. So dependency injection is like Spring creates and manage your objects and inject the dependency automatically instead of using the new. That statement we know, but they will ask you like where we are using the qualifier annotation. So you see with dependency we are using the auto add annotations, and we are injecting this service like for example the constructor injection is the best we should use as a standard approach. So qualifier means, for example, we have this notification service, take it like that, we have this notification service, and we have email notification service and SMS notification service. and from this order service, when the order is being done, so we want to send like either SMS service or the notification service. Then how will tell the order services to call which notification service? So for that case we need to use qualifier. So in this case we are like sending the SMS notification. So if we change it to email notification, so we'll be sending the email notifications. So you can go with this, and they may ask like counter question about the primary annotations. So let me know what is this primary annotation use case in the comment section. Let's move to the next question. And next question is the difference between ArrayList and LinkedList. That is very easy questions as to an experienced developer, but they want to know the use case when to use ArrayList, when to use a linked list. So we know this, if we want to get the value by index, then ArrayList is suitable because it will be having order of one operation or the order of one complexity, and the linked list is very very slow, and so it will be having order of n complexity. And if you want to delete any values from the array list, we need to do like order of n shift. And in case of the linked list, you just need to like cut the pointer, then it will be done in order of one complexity. So you can go to this particular code for your better understanding purpose. Let's move to the question number 10, deadlock and how to avoid it. So as an experienced developer, we should have understanding on multi-threading. So in the multi-threading, they have just asked me only one questions, but I don't think for the other interpreter can ask like lot of questions on the like multi-threading, exceptions, synchronization. So better to prepare more on that. So what is deadlock? Means deadlock happens when two or more threads wait for each other and locks forever. There's so take an example like thread 1 holds and lock 1 and waits for the lock B, and thread 2 hold that same lock B which thread 1 is waiting and waiting for the lock A. So both are waiting and forever. That condition is the deadlock. So let's take an example. So we have lock A and lock B. If you see, the thread 1 is created and first it is locking A, and inside the block it is locking B. So it is waiting for the lock B. And if you see the thread 2, it is first locking the B, and inside the lock B it is locking the A. It is waiting for the lock A. So they can ask you like to code the deadlock scenarios like in front of them, so you can take that. And also they will ask you to fix that deadlock. So how will you fix that? So what we will do, there is like a few approach to fix. Like first we will do like thread will do the lock A, then we will do the lock B. In the same case, thread 2 also will do the lock A, then lock B. So order of locking should be same for all the threads. You can think like that. So there is like some strategy for locking, ordering, whatever we have shared just now. There is a timeout approach is there. So you can use the try lock method from return clock to avoid the deadlock. And we can use like return log, semaphores, the different timeout. So you can go with that. I was talking about so they can ask you the use case of return log, semaphores. So you can better to prepare. You don't know what question this type of question they may ask. Like what is the new features in Java 8 includes like lambda expression, stream API, optional, functional interface, default method. So try to give an example of each and every use cases in your project, and try to relate that. And take this example, you can go through this and try to say the use case of each and every features of the Java 8. So next move to the next questions, which will be the serialization concept. What is the difference between serialization and the deserialization? So serialization means we convert the Java object into the byte stream, and deserialization means converting the byte stream to the Java object. So So you can take an example like we have this name, age and password. So if we use the transient, this particular password will not be serialized, and only this name and age will be sent over the network after the serializations. So you can try to relate it to some real, every time try to relate it to some real life example, so it is express yourself as an senior developer. Next is what is functional interface. So interface with exactly one abstract method. It can have multiple default and static methods. So we need to use functional interface annotation. So there are some built-in functional interface like functions, which will be accepting one type of argument, returning one type. Accepting one type of input and returning the other type of output. Consumer, which is accepting one type of input and returning void. So you can go through this, the code sample code also is there, and they can ask you like to create some custom exceptions by yourself. So for example, here some math operator is created, so try to be prepared with that as well. Then they will ask you like what is marker interface. The interface with no methods and no field, it's called the marker interface. So we have like serializable, cloneable, so these are called the marker interface as well. Next, move to the next questions. They will ask you about the design patterns. So try to cover like three design patterns like relational patterns, how the objects are created; structural patterns, how the objects are composed; behavioral patterns, how the object communicates. So for each cases, take an example and try to relate it with your project. So you are using singletons, right, where we are using only one instance is created. So for example, we have this order service or the order controller, we are using the only one singleton object will be created. Then for example, we have some proxy adapter, so we have decorator, add behavior without changing the classes. So we have Java input output stream, we are so hibernate lazy loading for the proxy, and the behavioral patterns like we already using this right, we are using observer, so notify and dependent on the state change. And we have command chain of responsibility where you are using this filter chain, so that actually this chain of responsibility. So next, move to the next question like singleton patterns. They will ask you to create a singleton class as well, and different approach to create the singleton as well. Singleton means one instance will be created throughout the applications. So as some developer, they write this code and they told like this is the singleton, uh, this will be the singleton, the one instance will be created. But see, we have checking the instance none and then instance is created. What happen if the two thread can instantiate the simultaneously? Then both will create the instance, right? So here the like singleton concept is broken. So what we need to do, we need to use the synchronized. So you need to use the synchronized on the top of this object creation get instance method. Better for the production purposes, we need to use this double check locking. It is one of the expected, and another more is there which is called the enum. So double check locking, what we will do, first we'll check the null, then we'll synchronize this class level synchronization, and then we'll be creating this in this particular instance. So if you are still watching the video, I request to please subscribe to the channel and like the video. So let's go ahead with the fourth approach, which is the enum. So this is thread shape by default, prevent reflection. So there are few other approach also. So you can, it is better to explain this 3-4 approach, and this is fine. Let's move to the next question. Monolithic versus microservice architectures. Yeah, so they will definitely ask you. So as in theory, everyone knows like difference between monolithic and microservice architectures, but it is better to take some example, maybe some real life examples where we are using the microservice level architectures and where we are using the monolithic level architectures. So I will cover the few points. Like the quick difference is that this structure, it is a single deployable unit, and here multiple independent services are there. So tech stack, we will be using the single tech stack. If we are using the Java, overall those monolithic service we are will be using the Java. And the microservice, one service we can use Java, other service we can use Python. In database, we are using the single database. If we are using MySQL, then whole services we can use the MySQL. In case of microservice, we can use different MySQL, MongoDB, and Neo4j, depending upon the use cases. So when to my monolithic, basically when the team size is small, and microservice when the team size is large. So you can take the example like monolithic, we have in every particular package we have the order service, user service, payment service, notification service, one DB and one deployment. In the microservice, we have this API gateway which is provided to different services, user services, user DB, order services, payment services, the different services. You can explain these advantages and disadvantages. In monolithic, it is simple to develop and debug, and in the microservice, it is an independent deployment. It is complex and hard to, a little bit hard to debug, as the distribution tracing is needed. So you can go through this. Next question they will ask like when to use monolithics. So don't say like microservice is better than monolithics. It is depending upon the both architectures. It depends on the different use cases as well. So if you say this microservice is better than monolithic, then it is not an right solutions. So monolithic, you can say that monolithic is the right choice when the team size is small. So we don't have like that much developer, and we are just a startup. For example, we don't have that much funds, you can think, but we want to grow. So then monolithic is first. As I was talking about, we are just the startup, not even clear about our services. We are just trying and figuring out the product. Then we can use monolithics. And it is, for example, if it is for some internal tools like internal HR tools, some internal reporting dashboards, some e-commerce admin panel. So on that case, we can use monolithic based architectures. And we sure this there will low traffic and no need for independent scaling. In that case, we can use it. Maybe have like we have some other internal software, we can the service that are being used by our internal employees. So on that case, we can use the monolithic based architectures. So there is a ready to speak answer is there, you can say to the interview as well. Next three questions will be covering. Difference between GraphQL, not difference between, so they will ask like are you using GraphQL, Kafka or RabbitMQ or not. No need to go much deep on that, just you can tell the use cases and you know little bit on that, but not involve much on, because as a Java backend developer, this is required, but they may ask depending upon the what roles and responsibilities you have. So GraphQL is an query language for the APIs. It is an alternative to the REST. Client requests exactly what it needed, nothing more, nothing less. In case of in the REST, we are using like different APIs like users API, order API. In a GraphQL, we have only one single endpoints. Here, fixed response structure is there. The client specific extract field. So whatever the client specify, those kind of fields will be extracted. So you can go through this some sample code as well on and when to use GraphQL. So when the complex nested data is required, like from order user to order to items to products in one call. And what is Apache Kafka? Kafka is a distributed event streaming platform which is with a high throughput, durable real-time message processing. So you can explain this concept like producer, consumers, topics, partition, brokers, if you have like much idea, or you can just tell like you have worked on, you know this concept but not much involved while working in your projects. But if you have enough idea, then that is very good. And the RabbitMQ, it's a traditional message broker, routes messages between the producer and consumers via queues and exchanges. You can explain the core concept. This is like theoretical part mostly. Next, they have asked me like two coding related questions, we can say. one is like you need to find the occurrence of the characters, each character in the string, and you need to use the Java stream APIs. Not yeah. So they will give the input and output will be like hello occurs, H occurs for 1 times, L occurs for 3 times. So like that it will be output. So looking the output, it's so like you need to use the map. So first approach, like non-stream approach, you can provide first if they specifically mention that you need to use Java stream, then directly jump to the Java stream approach. Else first go with start with that using the map approach. Then in the Java stream you need to use this map to object, collect, collectors.group by. You can go more on this and try to explain them. Then if they told like you should not include like spaces, then you can do some filter and this will ignore the spaces. The space logic will not be added to your map. And next and the final questions, they asked me like check if the two string are anagram or not. So by definition, the anagram means the same number of character will be and their frequency, yeah, will be same for both the two string. So if you like don't get the anagram term, then try to ask the interviewer clearly. So if we use this listen and silent, occurrence of every character is same in both the string, so that's called the anagram. So first approach, you just sort it, and after the sorting, then just compare it. Then the complexity here is time complexity n log n, space complexity n. The next approach, which is expected by the interpreter, is to use hash map. So for every you will be storing the character and the count of every character. So here the time complexity is order of n. Next is that the third approach is the using the Java stream, where the previously we are using the group by and collecting counting. So we can use that approach as well. So these are all the questions that was asked to me in the interview. So in the coming videos I will be covering the round 2 and round 3 as well. So let me know like if you want to have this round 2 or round 3 or not. Else I will be covering some other company wise related interview questions. And all the best for your interview, and thank you for watching the video.